Greetings, beloved Princeton United Methodist Church community. It's Pastor Jenny here, and I'm reading today from 1 Corinthians 15, part of verse 51 and then verse 54. Listen, I will tell you a mystery. When this perishable body puts on imperishability, and this mortal body puts on immortality, then the saying that is written will be fulfilled. Death has been swallowed up in victory. This is the word of life. Thanks be to God. We are in the season of Lent. Lent is that 40-day period before Easter. Of course, that 40 days doesn't include the Sundays, so it ends up being about 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks, that we journey toward Easter. Now, but in that 40 days, there is really a move toward death, a move toward Jesus' death that we celebrate on Good Friday. And through this time of Lent, it is a time to look inside, to look at our own spiritual relationships with God, with each other, with ourselves, with the creation, the created world. It's a time to look at the things that need to die, to allow flourishing to happen in those relationships, to allow life to come forth. Lent is a time that prepares us for resurrection, partly because only things that have died can be resurrected. Only people who have died can be resurrected. Over these last few years, with Lent, we have chosen kind of big themes, big worship themes and series to approach. We've talked about forgiveness a couple of years ago. Last year, we talked about Sabbath and rest. All of these things are big and hard and life-giving, I hope, as well. This year, we are talking about death and dying. We are talking about learning to die. And, it's interesting because this is such a core part of our Christian faith. As I just said, right, that death and resurrection are so central and so core. We put a whole season around them, and arguably the highest of the holy days of our Christian year is Easter, the celebration of resurrection, again, but it cannot happen unless death has occurred first. And as a church, as a people, as a culture, we struggle a lot with talking about death, with facing our own death, befriending death as something that will happen to absolutely every single one of us. And it's this challenging place because, again, we don't like to talk about this very much. The church itself hasn't talked about it very well. I'm not just talking about Princeton United Methodist Church. I'm talking about the Christian church in general in this kind of era and in this part of the world. I don't think we do this terribly well. We tend to shy away from it just as the culture does. And yet it is so core to our faith. So we're going to dive in, and we will see where it takes us and see how God brings us to life, even in the midst of talking about and facing and befriending death. So I invite you today to just sit for a moment and consider how you're feeling about this, about what gets stirred up in you as I'm talking, as you look at the 6 weeks ahead of us. Some people are actually filled with energy around this and are so curious and ready and feel like this is very much what we need to be talking about. I know others bring up, there's a lot of kind of fear around talking about this as well, because it is truly hard to talk about this. It is for a lot of reasons. And so there's also grief, of course, that comes along with this. All of us have experienced death of someone else. Some of us may have even been given life, diagnoses that are helping us to face the end of life in ways that are terrifying and scary and hard, and all of that is very understandable. And so we will try to have good care around all of these kind of different things as we go about these next few weeks. But I do wonder, what's stirring up for you? What's coming up for you? And I invite you to take a couple of minutes and just listen to your mind, your heart, your soul, your spirit, to see what is being raised. It may be a combination of many things. And I invite you to maybe tell somebody else what you're thinking and feeling and what is being raised up for you. I definitely invite you to share it with God and to ask God to bless whatever it is you're feeling, to ask God to bless these next 6 weeks for you in your journey, but also for us collectively on this journey. One thing I do know is that God works very well in spaces of death. This is a place that, of course, God, we just talked about how resurrection is what God does with death. And because Jesus has gone this way before us, we know that we can go that way as well, with some certainty that God will be with us in the midst of it. We can go with courage because Jesus has gone this way and shared so much with us around that. So I want to share with you a few of the tools that we are inviting you, or gifts that we're inviting you to receive along the way too. So we put together a set of daily devotionals. It looks like this. It's called Learning to Die. 8 of us from the church community have put this together, but you'll see it looks a little bit different. Over the past few years, we've been sending them out to everybody, but we've been printing them here in-house. We've shifted this year to use a kind of self-publishing tool that Amazon has, Kindle has for us, and so you can get this in a few different ways. But you do have to. It won't just show up in your mailbox this year as it has the last few years. So. You can get this for free. You don't have to pay anything for it. There is a PDF version of this, which you can find on our website here in this email. It is the whole thing. It is right there for you, and that's perfectly good for you to use. You can also get this on Kindle. If you're a Kindle Unlimited subscriber through Amazon, you can get this for free with that subscription, or it's $1.99. Very affordable, and you can read it on any device that you have Kindle on. You can also get this paperback version. It also looks a lot nicer than what we can do in-house too. You can get the paperback version in a couple of ways. You can pay right now to get it sent to you from Amazon. You can order it through Amazon. It's going to cost you just about $11, a little shy of $11. We have also ordered, though, a bunch of them at print cost, which is cheaper than that, but they're not here yet. So we will get them to you as soon as we can, but what we're going to do is ask you to pay $10 for a print version, knowing that the print cost is about $5.50, but $4.50, that the difference is going to go to an end-of-life care organization here locally as a result of that. So you can opt for either one of those or neither of those, but we do encourage you to get that. Also, because the print versions have not come in yet, we will have several copies, just black and white copies of that PDF of the first week of entries there, so you can not be far behind if you do want to get that print copy for yourself. Also, on Sunday when you come to church, and if you are an online worshiper and want us to send you one of these, please tell us, because we'd be happy to do that. You'll find these little bags. Inside there is a cross and a little card that gives you some instructions. But we wanted to give something, it's just helpful on some of these journeys to have a tangible thing. And not only are these olive wood crosses just comforting to hold in your hand, they are meant to root us and remind us, keep bringing us back to the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. There's also a little card here that tells you more about how to get the book, and a reminder of some of the extra things that we're doing during Lent right there in the middle. So we're having a 3-part conversation series around death and dying well. You can come to all 3, you can come to 2, you can come to 1. They're standalone, but they are part of a series as well. So you can find more information out about that. So friends, let's learn to die. Let's let ourselves be people who are our funeral service in the Methodist Church talks about being people who live as people who are we are be people who are living prepared to die, and people who die prepared to go forth to live. I didn't say that quite the quote, but hopefully you get that that word a little bit there. Being people who go forth, who live as people who are prepared to die, and people who die prepared to go forth to live. Still not quite right, but I wanted you to hear it again. And may we do that. May we be people who are ready to die and ready to live, and trusting that life leads to death and leads again to life. Friends, it is always a joy to be on this journey with you. And remember that you are enough because God is enough. Remember that you were created for joy. You were created for life abundant. And I will see you very soon.